This episode is sponsored by quality and innovative Game Bore cartridges. Game Bore shot shells are the choice of world champion David Radulovich and 26 times world champion George Digweed MBE. White Gold and Dark Storm contain precision-made diamond shot, manufactured exclusively in England, and coupled with high-performance smooth velocities, providing less felt recoil. If you're serious about your scores, you have to shoot with the best. When every clay counts, make sure you never compromise. Game Bore is the most decorated FETASC and sporting clay shot shells in the sport's history. Available now throughout the U.S., exclusively from KL Ammo. Find them online at www.gameborus.com. Game Bore are simply the champion's choice. Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast with your hosts, Jason Rambo and Sean Alley. We bring you all things sporting clays. Our focus is bringing new shooters to the sport and helping all shooters by giving you the most useful info from coaches, pro shooters, gun clubs, product and service specialists. The Dead Pair Podcast, what every shotgun shooter wants to hear.
Paul?
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jason Rambo. With me, the man that is large and in charge, Mr. Sean Alley.
I like how you say that.
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, it's a real simple rule. When you close the door, you turn the deadlock at the top.
I know, because you
just
never
let
know.
Strangers wander.
Yeah, you just never know who's going to wander in here. We've got our buddy JD. JD, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Long time friend, new time friend of the show, right?
Yeah, a little nervous to be here. First time ever doing anything like this. But
We're glad to have you come hang out with us.
Hey, like we tell everybody, it's just like if we're sitting on the back of a tailgate, we just got done shooting, we're having a beer, talking about the shoot. That's basically our whole format. Yep. So just relax and have a conversation like you always do.
For sure. Well, you're joining us for a good one, Jay, because we've got Shawn Spindel coming on, and those that don't know Sean, he is from Hillendale. He is the manager there, and we're going to talk about the upcoming Ohio State shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean's going to run us down on all the attractions and features up there at Hillendale, give us a little bit of the club history, and also talk a little bit more about the events they're going to have there, the time frame, and everything you need to know if you're traveling to the Ohio State shoot this year.
Right, and then somebody you know, JD, Mr. Rich Cole himself is coming on from Cole Gunsmithing. So
yeah, he's a wealth of information. That guy's been around.
You bought a couple firearms from him, huh?
I have. I bought my YSA 400 and my DT11.
There you go.
Yeah, they're a great place. And Rich and Jona are both great people, so hopefully they'll be on here and give us all kinds of great information to share with our listeners.
Yeah, so let me ask you guys something. Have you ever had one of those shoots that you just want to go to bed and wake up the next morning and pretend it never happened?
All the time. Why?
It happened to me last Sunday, let me tell you. Oof. Man, I was not mentally in it at all. I need to have Don Grant on speed dial.
Yeah.
So
playing in the background as you're waiting between stations, probably.
Yeah, you guys were there. You guys shot the morning rotation, though. Jay, how'd you do?
Started out a little rough, got better in the later in the day. Always dropping a few that I shouldn't have.
Right.
And wish I could have back, but I can't get them back.
That's the common theme with everything.
You took top 5 in your class, didn't you, Sean?
Yeah, I tied for third. So I shot pretty good, but again, there was still 5 or 6 that I dropped that I shouldn't have. And then I had a gun problem where my adjustable butt pad loosened up in the middle of a shoot, and I lost 2 targets because the thing completely came off my cheek. And I lost my line and everything. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And, well, sure enough, a couple of the set screws backed off. So that lesson learned there to check all your set screws on your adjustments.
Well, thankfully, questions for the coaches this afternoon is going to be with Mr. Elliott, our coach. So maybe you can talk to him about some do's and don'ts. He's
probably going to stress Loctite with this problem.
I would ask him about me, but that would wrap up at least the next 10 episodes. So
we all have those days, and for all our listeners, trust me, everybody has those days. It really takes a lot to be at the top of the game, like some of the people we've had on, Anthony, David. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it really shows you the appreciation you have for those kind of guys that are able to go out there and compete and perform.
You know, as time goes on, the deeper we get into this, you just grow more and more admiration and appreciation for those guys that are at the top of the game that can stay focused and turn those 98s, 99s, and 100 straights and around. It takes so much out of you.
Well, and then you got to look at it like one bird can make the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
This isn't EDC and all those lower classes. Like
you got a little bit of room
to
play with in those classes, and I wish I could go back and play around in those classes again. But yeah, it just gets a little tougher the higher up the ladder you climb.
Yeah. Well, listen, all three of our guests that's coming on tonight, we've got a ton of questions for all of them. A lot of information is going to be shared here tonight. Some exciting information about the state shoot, and those of you that are not familiar with the Ohio State shoot, and I know Sean and I are JD are a little biased because we're Ohio State residents, but this is a very coveted thing. There's a lot of people that come out of state for this shoot.
Oh yeah,
we've seen people as far as from Hawaii at this shoot.
Yep.
So,
yep.
And I think we're on for a little treat tonight. I already got a little insider information. I'm not going to tell you, Sean.
Oh, okay.
But,
all right.
Yeah, I think we're in for a little treat tonight. What's going to happen? So let's go to a quick commercial break, and we'll come back with Shawn Spindell.
Sounds good.
Rad Chad Roberts is available and ready to teach you to be your best. Chad is a 2-time All-American, 2-time California FITAS champion, and a 2019 California State champion.
Chad stresses solid, fundamentally based processes that will ultimately allow a shooter to analyze and self-correct themselves as they learn and grow. He gives you all the tools to be able to apply the correct concepts and allow you to break targets consistently and be confident in all shooting situations.
Rad Chad can be reached at breakpointshootinginstruction@gmail.com, or you can call or text him at 949-637-3001.
As a bonus, Chad will be holding coaching sessions at C4 in Madison, Ohio, August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, while there to compete for the Masterclass 300 tournament. Call C4 and ask for Jolene Carnabucci at 440-298-3200 to schedule an appointment or check availability.
American-made Atlas traps are made right here in Kansas and feature the finest quality, innovation, and support in the business. Atlas traps are made using aircraft-quality aluminum and stainless steel to ensure your traps will outlast the competition.
So whether you're an individual needing a private trap for practice and recreation, or a club needing to outfit your entire facility, family-owned and operated Atlas Traps can suit all your needs.
Visit atlastraps.com to see the full line of commercial and recreational traps and accessories. With prices that won't make you see red and quality that won't leave you feeling blue, Atlas has the finest equipment available. All right, on the phone with us from Hillendale is Shawn Spindell. Sean, how are you doing this evening?
Doing well.
How you doing, Sean? This is Sean, and we've got JD joining us in here tonight as a guest.
Hello, Sean.
All right, well, let's dive right in. So big stuff. We've got the Ohio State shoot coming up. So I guess for our listeners that aren't familiar with your club, can you tell us a little bit about Hillendale and how you got started?
Sure. Hillendale's been around actually since 1954. And we started throwing clays in 1990, probably one of the older clubs in the state as far as sporting clays is concerned. We are a private club, so, we only probably do about 8 or 10 NSCA tournaments a year, but, they're usually well attended. We pride ourselves on, trying to set some pretty nice targets for everybody to enjoy and have a good time. So it's always great to see shooters come out for all of our events.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful facility. Other than the clay targets, you guys also do hunting, like pheasant hunting, and you got fishing and all kinds of stuff for your members there, don't you?
Yeah, we sure do. We've got about 450 acres actually that the club makes up, and we've got about 12 or 15 ponds on the property, and we do pheasant releases throughout the winter. Usually anywhere from 3,500 to 4,500 birds are released on the property, and hunt it with our guides and dogs. And so we keep busy even when we're not throwing clays. We're either hunting birds or doing something. So it's a sportsman's paradise, I guess, is what people have called it a few times.
Nice.
Well, that's definitely a beautiful club. It's one of our favorites to attend. Sean, this isn't your first time doing an Ohio State shoot. Looking at the numbers that are coming in now and what you anticipate, how many shooters do you think will be at the Ohio State shoot this year?
Well, I wish we had a magic ball and could forecast everything accordingly. But as we saw last year, everything sort of got thrown to the wayside. But I would guess that we're going to have over 400 shooters by the time it's all said and done. Everything, the restrictions are lifting. People are getting out, playing a little bit more, and I think this is sort of going to be great timing. It's going to be the time where we're sort of all thinking that I hate to say this word, but normal. And so I think this is going to be a great party. It's going to be a great competition. I think that we may even see, I don't know what our record is for the state shoot, but I think we're going to see well over 400 people come out.
Nice.
Wow.
And I was already looking at the list. I mean, there's some pretty big name shooters flying in from out of state, so it's not going to just be the local Ohio guys. It's going to be people from all over.
Yeah. If I'm correct, I think Ohio has been ranked in the top 3 or 4 for state championships, in the nation. So that's quite a feather in our cap for the state of Ohio. It's neat to see that we got this many shooters that want to participate and support all the clubs that are throwing targets. So it's neat up here in Ohio to have this many registered shooters.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely blessed. So for all our listeners and people that might be interested in coming, what kind of events are they going to be able to see? And what are the dates and times of the state shoot this year?
Well, the shoot's August 5th through the 8th. That's Thursday through Sunday. We've got 200 target main event, which will be held over 2 courses on Saturday and Sunday. There'll be 3 flights for those. And then we'll have a prelim event on Thursday and Friday. There'll be 2 flights on Thursday, I believe 11:30 and 2:30 on Thursday, and then 8:30, 11:30, 2:30 on Friday. And then we'll have the usual side events. There'll be 100 target FETASC. There'll be 28 gauge and 20 gauge FETASC 50 target event. And then we'll have sub gauge pump side by side 50 target events on another course. So there'll be plenty to shoot if you're coming out for any of those days.
Gotcha. And to accommodate all the shooters, are you guys going to be able to offer golf carts to people that are traveling in?
Yes, we are. That was a little bit of nip and tuck earlier in the year. There were no golf carts to be found when we first started searching, but we've got 20 plus here, plus we got another about 30 coming in. So we should have about 50 carts for rent. We should be able to get everybody around the place accordingly.
Okay, so probably people need to just call in and try to get one reserved before it gets too close to the date, I assume.
Yep, and they can do that on WinScore. All the registration for the shoots on WinScore online. So if you haven't already signed up and need to, go check it out. And if you need a cart, you can also add that on there too.
This is the question that's got everybody on the edge of their seat. Can you tell us who's going to be setting targets this year?
I gladly can, and I say this I'm very excited about this, but we've got John Kruger coming out.
Oh,
and he's going to be setting these targets, and it's going to be, I just can't wait for it, because it was funny. I had mentioned it to a couple of guys the other day that were out shooting here, and I was like, John's going to come out and set the targets, and they're like, they're fairly new shooters, and they didn't realize who he is. And I was like, how can that be? He's Mr. Sporting Clays. I mean, everybody knows John. And, he actually, I believe, he came to one of the first state championships that I was involved in. I think probably 2002, maybe 2003. He came out and shot. And of course, like most competitions, he came out on top. And it's going to be neat to have him come back out and be able to set the targets here. It took a little while to find him and get him on board with us. We had a few changes along the way. We had Neil Chadwick for part of the last year, and that's what we were looking at. And then we had to make a couple of changes because of schedules, and same thing happened with Dave Kelly. And everybody that we've talked to that was planning to possibly be out to set targets, we were excited about, but I am especially excited to have John be a part of this shoot. It's going to be a good one.
Well, in the United States, can you honestly think of a bigger name for sporting clays? I mean, that is huge.
He's the man. I mean, you know, this is a little side story. With John, the very first time I actually met him was when the state championship was down at Briar Rabbit.
Yep, I remember that.
Probably 2000, maybe
99?
maybe 99.
Yeah.
And I was down there shooting. I'd rented a hotel room in town, and I'm checking in after shooting on Friday, and John walks up behind me, and he asks if there's a room, and they're all sold out. And I happened to be by myself that night. My wife was going to join me the next day, and I was like, John, why don't you jump in and we can share the room. And so I got to hang out with John, the first time I ever met him, and he spent the night in the hotel with me, and hung out with the rest of the guys that we were shooting with the whole weekend. And it was just, that's when I realized what this sport was about and how you can hang out with any of these shooters.
You lucky
everybody's so yeah.
Jason's turning green over here.
Yes.
So it's just such a neat community that we're involved in. Everybody helps everybody out.
That's really cool.
And what kind of are you going to have any vendors there, or what kind of things are you going to have available for the shooters there besides the actual shoots themselves?
We're working on the vendors. To be honest, with everything that was going on, we didn't actively search, but we've been talking to some guys in the last few weeks. We are not set up to carry a bunch of vendors the way the property is laid out around where registration and the main congregation areas are. So we'll probably have 5 or 6 vendors out selling some guns, showing their wares and everything. But I don't have really a final list by any means right now. But I feel strongly that we'll have a good showing, and people will be able to do a lot of browsing and shopping while they're here.
Gotcha. Well, and another big question that everybody's going to be asking, what's the ammo situation going to look like, and are people going to be able to purchase enough ammo there for the shoot this year?
I believe so. We've got, just like everybody else, we've got shells ordered, from last year and everything else. But, I'm supposed to get a truckload of shells tomorrow or maybe the next day. Presently in our back house here, we've probably got 600-700 flats, which is not a lot, but it's probably enough to get us by if we keep getting some of these shipments come in. So I will say we're not going to be able to sell flats upon flats to everybody. We've sort of limited the amount we sell to everybody, maybe a flat at a time, or what they're shooting on the course on a daily basis. So, but I think in talking with the manufacturers, it sounds like they're planning to get our full shipments to us before the shoot. They know we've got a big shoot, and they're doing what they can to get it out to all the clubs and make sure that the shooters can keep going. So I don't think there'll be a problem. I can't guarantee that, but I think we'll be just fine.
Well, I'm sure you're putting forth your best effort, and they are too.
Well, Sean, this next question we have for you that we think is important to our listeners that might want to attend this, it's rhetorical for you and I, but what kind of amenities are nearby? I mean, I'm trying to remember. I think the Cleveland airport's about 35, maybe 40 minutes from you. Is that correct? And what hotels are close by?
Yeah. Well, we're fortunate where we're located. We're within, 30, 40 minutes of both Akron and Cleveland, which are great metropolitan cities and have anything and everything you might need. Medina, where we're located locally, there's plenty of hotels, there's nice restaurants, plenty of things to do. The county fair may be going on or just getting wrapped up, so there might be some other attractions going on during those couple weeks too, either side of the shoot. So there's lots of things to do if you're not shooting. The airport, like you said, it's only 30, 40 minutes away. Akron is 20 minutes, and plenty of things to get done down there.
Gotcha. I think JD's got a question for you.
Yeah. Sean, is there going to be a dinner and award ceremony for Saturday?
OSCA met last week and we discussed that, and the plan is to move forward with having the Saturday night banquet, having a dinner. They've got some great things that they're doing. They've got some raffles put together, and the plan is, unless something changes, that we're going to have our banquet and be back to our usual state championship schedule of events. So they've got a cart raffle that they're doing. They got Fila glasses that they're going to be raffling off. A couple other things that are being discussed right now. I think Beretta's stepped up, and I think we've got a 694 that we're going to probably raffle off.
Oh, nice.
And all the proceeds for that, the plan right now is to help offset some of the youth entry fees and maybe add to the purses for youth and ladies at the shoot. So it looks like we're going to have a good program. One thing I didn't mention previously, NSCA has this state championship grant program that they offer to clubs that they're doing. And we were awarded one of those grants this year. It's about $2,000. And the way we're going to use that money, we're simply going to take $50 off all the entry fees for sub juniors and juniors for the main event.
Nice.
And then any side events that are going on, anything that's, I think all of the events are over $50 entry fee. We're going to take $25 off any of those for those youth shooters.
Oh,
wow.
So
that's going to help them out a lot.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So we're trying our best to get as many kids out there shooting and make it fun for everybody to get out there.
That is so cool. Well, Sean, what are the payouts in the HOA this year?
I'll have to look that up, to be honest. I think I don't have it in front of me, but OSCA, they do so much. They take care of all the trophies. They take care of all the payouts and whatnot. I want to say that however all is $800 or $1,000, and then I think runner up 500. But I don't have that in front of me. I don't know all the breakdowns of that. What I'll do is I'll get with OSCA, see if we can get that out on Facebook or something like that, so everybody knows what all the payouts are.
So, Sean, if people have questions and they want to contact you, what's the best way to get a hold of the club? What's the best way to make sure that they're going to be able to find their way there? Who should they reach out to?
Well, they can call the club directly if they like. The number's on our website. Email us as well. That's on our website as well. What we usually do is about 2 weeks before the shoot, we'll go through and send out an email, try to explain any of the details that we think are going to be pertinent to anybody, and try to answer those questions before they get asked if we can. Obviously, we won't get them all, but we'll try to explain how everything's going to be laid out, and where parking will be, where you can pick up your carts and do all that fun stuff. But we'll try to get that out about 2 weeks ahead of time. That way we've got our plan in place, and everybody can remember it. And we also, Lois Melly is in charge of registration. She does a fabulous job. She's been doing this with Ohio State shoots since I did our first one in 2002. So I think this is the longest standing shoot state championship that she's still involved with, and very excited to have her, have John. We've also got Nick Sage will be here, and Ed Pritchell. So we've got a bang up crew. Everybody's excited to get the shoot going. Our staff is, as well as the members of the club here. So we're really excited to see what we can do.
Well, we're really looking forward to it. Trust me.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of these, that Masters Class 300 is the weekend before. I think a lot of these big names are kind of sticking around and going to the Ohio State shoot after that, because you're the very next weekend.
Yeah.
We've seen some of the big names have already signed up for it. So
yeah, and you're not too far from the C4 shooting facility, so it makes good sense.
For sure.
Have we missed anything, Sean? Anything else you want to throw out there or add to for our listeners to know about the upcoming state shoot?
I think that, gives it a nutshell. It's going to be a good time, good competition, good party, and, look forward to seeing a bunch of people here and getting back into the groove. So,
well, it's going to be a good time for sure. Sean and I will be there. The dead player will be in the house.
All right.
So, well, Sean, thank you very much. We appreciate your time, sir.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. You guys do a great job. And, it's important to communicate to all the shooters like you're doing, and I love it. So anything I can do to help you out or anything the club can do to help you out, we're here for you.
We greatly appreciate that.
Thank you, Sean. We appreciate that.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. We'll see you.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Bye.
RE Ranger, you can't hit what you can't see. With 14 clay sight lenses manufactured by Carl Zeiss Vision, Ranger lenses add target clarity and contrast no matter the lighting condition. Visit reranger.com for all your shooting eyewear needs. Free shipping and returns in the U.S. on orders of $90 or more. And if you use the code DEADPAIR at checkout, you will save 10% off your order. See it further, see it faster, see it with precision with RE Ranger.
All right. Joining us on the phone, Rich and Jona Cole. Guys, how are you doing this evening?
We're well. How are you fellas?
We're doing as good as can be. I've got Jason here on my right, and then JD is joined with us in studio tonight, who purchased a couple guns off of you. We actually spoke to you down at the Gator Cup earlier this year, and it was a pleasure meeting you and your wife. And again, a big thank you for fixing the trigger set on my DT11. I can't thank you enough for that.
Well, we always have a really good time at the Gator Cup. That's certainly one of the high points of every year's events for us.
Gotcha. Well, tell us a little bit about your business, how you guys got started. I know it's a whole family thing, so I'm sure there's lots to tell. So I'll just let you take it from here.
Well, okay. So I guess I would start off by saying that, Jona is the brains, and she's also, the good looking one of the two of us. It is very much a family business. It's grown a lot, over the years, so at times it sure doesn't seem like a family business. But we really do try and kind of keep perspective on, why we started doing what we do, and, try and stay true to that. Really the company started when I finished my apprenticeship. I'd been working for Beretta for a number of years, and had done sort of my gunsmithing apprenticeship and received a lot of training. And I realized that I didn't want to pretty much stay in the corporate world of gunsmithing, that there were, some different types of guns that I wanted to work on, some different things that I wanted to do, that I was going to kind of have to look for more of an individual opportunity to do that than within, what one manufacturer, had to offer. So I moved on, and I think it was around 1985, and sort of got my federal firearms license and got things started. And at that time, I was young and I hadn't built a reputation, really outside of the very, very immediate insiders in the industry. Mm-hmm. And, so I was, I think I worked one winter. I worked as a mason's tender mixing mortar for this guy and setting up staging on icy northern New England roofs. And,
oh boy.
I've worked on a shrimp boat. I've dug clams. Worked in a machine shop, which was probably one of the high points, but, did the things that I needed to do in order to follow my passion, which has always been gunsmithing, even since I was a child. It's taken a number of years to kind of get this off the ground. I mean, in the early years, I was doing relaying ribs on double shotgun barrels and rust bluing the barrels, and doing a lot of hot bluing. I did a lot of manganese phosphate finishing for Bushmaster. Years ago, did the Parkerizing on their ARs. So,
okay.
I've done a lot of different stuff to just kind of get this thing off the ground. And in more recent years, the relationships that we have built with some of the manufacturers in Italy, and from the large amount of time that we've spent really working over there in Italy with some of the different manufacturers, that's kind of started to pay off for us a little bit. in the sense that, we've got really, really good product lines, and we have a lot of hands-on expertise in terms of really understanding what products we sell, from how it's manufactured to how it's serviced, and, how to basically provide a very, very high level of technically proficient service on the shotguns that we sell. And for me, that's where my passion is. And of course, Jona's on the other end of that. She really loves her social media and loves working with the kids and a lot of the people. And I think Jona really is more of the face of the company in terms of being out front with people and working with people. Whereas, myself, I'm perfectly happy to just kind of, keep my nose down, at the workbench and grind it out there.
Sure. And I owe Jona an apology. I didn't mean to mispronounce your name. Sorry, Jona.
Everybody does. Everyone does. I hardly correct anyone anymore. So
well,
no problem.
I spell my name Sean, and I get called Shane, Scene. Nobody knows how to say Sean when you spell it that way, so I get it.
I think we've all been called worse things, at one time.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, perhaps it hasn't been, totally unjustified from time to time.
Well, Rich, behind every successful man is a good woman that put him there, right? I mean, I have to say that because my wife edits these things, and if I don't call that out, I might not get to go home. So.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's funny, in its sarcasm, and I agree with that. And it's, but the reality is that most ventures in life take a team effort.
Absolutely.
There aren't that many really, really well-oiled one-man shows, if you will. I mean, it just is, different types of trades and things, require a lot of things. Sometimes they're not always behind the scenes, but it's like on the front end. I mean, a perfect example of that would be, Jona works with a lot of our clients, to sort of help them on the front end. Say they're looking for a competition gun, they're a sporting clay shooter. Well, what are they really looking for? How do they even know that they really are sure of that they do know what they're looking for if they're not a really experienced participant in the sport? And so having someone that can say, okay, let's talk a little bit about the brands and some of the characteristics that the different brands have to get a little bit of an understanding, to sort of get to the point to whereby that client then really starts to understand, well, what questions should I really be asking someone who is a technician, in order to help me, identify what kind of gun I want to buy, or whether I should have my gun restocked, whether I should use a modular TSK type of a system, or whether something off the shelf is going to work well for me. And so I think that, Jona does a lot of that, and then sort of puts them with me, and we kind of get into the nuts and bolts of things, and and move a little bit deeper into it. And frankly, for me, I would not be able to do the work and provide the level of expert gunsmithing service that I do for people if I had to do all of that interaction myself.
Right.
And so there's not only Jona, but there are other people on our team, throughout our our companies and our different locations, and it's all kind of a funnel. It gets to a certain point to whereby someone says, okay, I've got to pass this off to the next person, that has a little better understanding. And it's certainly not always me. When we work with semi-auto shotguns and we talk about the Cole Pros that we do on the Beretta A400s, I'm not the guy for that. Jim Belgard at Cole North in Harpswell, Maine, that guy probably knows more about Beretta semi-automatics than anybody in North America, because he has been gunsmithing those Beretta shotguns now with us for 17 years, going on 18 years,
Wow.
And so, it's a matter for us of get people with the right person to get them the information that they need so that they can make a decision, so that however they spend their hard-earned money is going to get them the most. Because, at the end of the day, we're in the entertainment industry. Nobody needs anything that any of us in this industry are doing. They are doing it because they want to recreate. They want to have a good time. This is how they're choosing to spend their time and their hard-earned money. And so, we need to take that into consideration as business people and do our best to make it as pleasant and effective a process that it is for them, whether they're buying a new gun or whether they're frustrated because their gun is broken and they're having a problem and they got to shoot next weekend and they're trying to figure out how to get that somewhere to get it taken care of.
Right. Well, let me ask Rich. I mean, I know you're Beretta through and through, but if somebody visits your store, you have other gun manufacturers available, right? I mean, you have other products available. Can you kind of tell a person what they can expect?
Yeah, sure. We do. I mean, we don't want to be one dimensional. That's not really a good business model, And
right.
I was trained by Beretta. I have a tremendous relationship with those folks and a lot of experience with that. But, Beretta understands, that there are other competitors. And whereas that, of course, every manufacturer would like everybody to buy their product, that's not a viable way to view things. So we have a great relationship with Perazzi. I love the Perazzi MX8 and MX12 platform. It's a wonderful shotgun. Antonio Zoli and the Zoli Z Sport, that's a sort of a quasi boss action type of a gun with a detachable trigger. Zolis are very, very good. You've seen a lot more Zolis coming into the marketplace with some of the better shooters. And, Cesar Guerini has been, for the last 20 years, they've been a growing company, and they're kind of in terms of the mid-priced guns. I mean, they provide a really nice gun with super overall fit and finish, to the shooter. We've recently, been doing more with Blaser. I think the Blaser F3, because of its modularity and the ease of getting sub-gauge barrels for reasonable money. The Blaser F3 is a great gun for the skeet shooter, for the individual that wants to do a lot of sub-gauge and wants to use, just one gun. Of course, we do Benelli semi-autos. Who am I insulting by not listing them in there? I've missed Beretta, Perazzi, Blaser, Zoli, Guerini. I mean, we've got Fab Arm, we've got Fair Technomech, we've got some of the, I say they're manufacturers, but they're more like game guns, like the Fair Technomechs, the Sabatis,
sure.
Some of the side by sides. I mean, we deal with Luciano Bossi, who builds super high end, custom guns. We deal with Perugini and Vizzini, who are, sort of Perazzi engineers that have moved away from Perazzi 25 years ago and, build their own guns. So, we've got a number of different brands and, and again, people come to me and they say, Rich, what's the,
Browning.
what's
now.
the best?
I just
We've got Browning because, Browning, the Browning Satori and the, and the Beretta, the 686 have always kind of been the Maytag machines of
Sure.
I don't want to call them the total entry level, but they're not the expensive guns. Speaking of the entry level, ATA out of Turkey, is a gun that we picked up. They were my understanding is they were a OEM maker for Beretta for some time, and they build a shotgun that comes in it for $1,000. It's kind of like a 686,
Oh, nice.
And we took them and said, let's try and tear this thing to pieces. Let's abuse it and break it up and shoot it. So we can give it back to the guy and say, yeah, this thing is junk. Well, the reality is that we've had a couple of those guns as demo guns, and they've held up really, really well. So we've picked them up and we're representing them for what they are. It's a good choice for somebody that wants to buy $1,000 over under. That'll work.
Well, it definitely sounds like you guys got pretty much the full gamut from anybody that wants to get with an entry level, mid grade, all the way up to a high end gun. I mean, it sounds like you guys pretty much cover
it is. I don't want to ignore Rizzini. Let me throw Rizzini B in there.
Okay.
Rizzini B is good. They have one of the most advanced manufacturing facilities, in Italy. They do really well. We love their BR 110 over under. Shot sporting clays gun. It's a really good gun for somebody that wants to sort of fit in between your entry level Brownings and Berettas. They're not quite in the Beretta DT11, the Blaser F3, Zoli Z Sport, Perazzi, Krieghoff, et cetera, et cetera. It gives that person a gun that is that sort of fits in the middle of that. But yeah, we do. We have a pretty broad range of guns, and again, everything that we sell, we try to be technically expert with, because we want to be able to service any of the problems that our clients might have. If they purchase a gun from us and they have a problem, we don't want to say, well, it's under warranty, send it back to the factory. It'll only take 12 or 14 or 16 weeks for you to get it back.
Yeah, everybody wants to hear that.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Well, Rich, I'm gonna put you on the spot here for a second, if you don't mind. I have a friend of ours that shoots with us, and I'm not gonna name the manufacturer gun, but let's just say it's one of these $500 Cabela's over-unders, okay? And he's looking to upgrade, but he doesn't have a very big budget, okay, like a really tight budget. He's in between $1,000 to $1,500 range. He definitely wants to stick with an over-under. What do you offer that you would recommend to him? I mean, I know you've just named a few of them, but if you had to pick one, which one would you say, hey, this is going to be a good fit for you?
Yeah, $1,000 to $1,500 on a new gun, I would probably say an ATA. You know,
oh, okay.
And I mean, I think that's probably gonna fit the bill. Now, that all being said, you know, what if I were that buyer, you know, if I wasn't in a hurry to find a gun, I would look for a good used Beretta 680 or a good used Browning Satori, you know, something that somebody has purchased and moved up, because, you know, I honestly, I'm going to take a particularly earlier gun. And it's kind of like buying a used car, you know, we got to throw the buyer beware in there, because, you know, what the gun looks like on the outside is not necessarily indicative of what it's going to be like on the inside.
Right.
You can pretty much know if the bluing is all worn off and the stock is cracked and it's got a hacked up recoil pad and, you know, some electrical tape around the wrist. It's probably not going to be in great shape. But, you know, if the gun does look really clean in terms of, you know, the finish isn't all chafed up, and, you know, the top lever is to the right of the top tang, indicating, you know, good life left in the locking system. Chances are, if a person were buying, you know, a 1980s, 90s up till, you know, 2010 or so, Browning Satori or Beretta 686 or 687, they can get a really, really good gun for that $1,500 price range, which is probably going to be a better gun. And I hate to say it like this, it'll be a better gun than the ATA. You know, I mean, we got to call it for what it is.
Right.
You know?
Gotcha. Well, in addition to all the guns you guys carry, I mean, you guys are known for, you know, you do custom stocks, you do gun fitting, gunsmithing. I mean, what other services do you offer for people that are getting into this sport?
Yeah. So, I mean, we built our business gunsmithing Italian shotguns, you know, and, you know, now we do a lot of sales. You know, we're actually Beretta's largest premium dealer in the world, I think, and we're pretty hot on the heels of the number one Perazzi dealer as well. You know, so we've done really, really well in terms of sales. I think that comes from our service, you know, because we service everything we sell. One of the things that we do, and we started doing more of it, is we've been buying some of these better guns from these manufacturers just with headed blanks, meaning it's just a block of wood that's been CNC machined at the factory and is attached to the stock. So it's ready to have the stock final shaped to custom dimensions for the shooter. And, you know, we've worked with the manufacturers based upon buying enough of a quantity and working with them on scheduling that we've eked out enough of a discount that if we charge MSRP on the gun, we can pretty much build that gun with a custom stock for the price of just the gun.
Wow.
And, you know, it's very, very close. We do that with the Blaser F3s, with the Zoli Z Sports, any of the Perazzis, and we do the Beretta DT11s and SL3s. So, you know, those are some of the top brands that, you know, we have a program that a person can come in. They don't have to buy a gun and then pay to get it custom stocked. They're buying the custom stock gun directly from us. And, you know, what we do is we have them come in, we do a tri-gun fitting with them. We can do, for somebody that's really, really particular, we can do a pattern stock first, which is basically just a plain Jane piece of wood that we rough into their dimensions so that they can shoot it a little bit and verify that that's the way they want it all to feel. And we can work on those dimensions with them a little bit. And then what we do is we do a digital laser scan of that and then set it up in our CNC machining system. And then we duplicate that stock perfectly for them. So, you know, that's one of the exciting things that we're doing more and more of recently. And we also offer some pretty high grade wood, you know, for somebody that wants something that's really special. We do that. We're the U.S. representatives for TSK modular stocks. And I mean, that's a really good system for somebody that doesn't necessarily want a custom stock, but they're looking to be able to customize their fit. This is a very high quality stock system that's modular, that a person can purchase and, use different components. And, by using different components, they can get the stock pretty much set up to fit anyone. Of course, our gun fitting, we do a lot of, particularly here in Naples. Naples has a very transient type of a population, and I mean transient in the good way. I mean, it's folks that are coming here for vacation in Southwest Florida, or people that have a summer home here. They come, they spend a certain amount of time to recreate here, and they'll come through our shop, and we'll do a gun stock fitting for them. We'll help them with their existing gun in terms of, what modifications may be necessary in order for the gun to be more suitable for them. And gee whiz, I mean, there's so many different kinds of things that that we're doing. We really are fairly multi-dimensional now.
Well, yeah. When I was down at the Gator Cup, I saw that. I looked at some of your new custom chokes too. You guys are making your own chokes for the Berettas now, right?
Yeah, we got into custom choking because we felt as though, with the experience that we have with Beretta and with what we know about that OBHP system, we felt as though we could build a choke that could potentially be superior to some of what the other offerings are out there. And so we, because we have a machine shop that, in our facility, a very, very extensive CNC machining shop, we had a CNC prototyping lathe, and my oldest son, Larry, who runs all that stuff, because he's smarter than I am. I don't know he's better looking than I am, but he's certainly smarter. But he went to work on the choke tubes and stuff. And he and Corey Rugg from Gulf Coast Clays spent an enormous amount of time testing these chokes, and we came up with a pattern for the OBHP chokes that we thought was really, really good. And so we ponied up and we purchased some additional CNC manufacturing equipment, in order to be able to make chokes. And we've had tremendous success, with these chokes. And, as time goes on, we probably will branch out and, build some chokes for K80s, Krigoffs, and for the Perazzi, current series 18.7 bore. We have no intention of making chokes for every single thing in the world. I mean, there are other companies that do that, but there are certain guns that we will look at and make some chokes on a more limited basis. But we're going to do a lot of research and a lot of development to make sure that whatever it is that we produce, is a high quality product.
Rich, I know you guys were very involved with supporting youth shooters and the SCTP, which is, Sean and I are huge on that, and that's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about how and why you got involved with this?
Well, I'm probably going to kick it over to Jona with that, because,
Okay.
she is really the one who's really involved with these kids. And, I mean, I love the kids too, but, I'm not that outgoing, a person. I'm kind of I'm the crusty old guy in the back room, that's kind of doing this stuff. And I think that, Jona, any of you all that have really kind of gotten to know her, she genuinely has a heart of gold, and, we love to see, let me just say, the youth shooters that I have come across personally are some of the most polite and respectful, well-adjusted young people that I've ever had the pleasure of interacting with. And that kind of causes me to want to do whatever I can do to provide opportunity for families to be able to bring their young people into this community that we have, that seems to be very, very healthy for these kids.
Absolutely.
And I mean, then Jona takes it to a whole nother level, and I'll let you talk to her about that.
So I think that what has grown for me in coming into this business, because before I was a gunsmith's wife, I was a social worker. And so I always was sort of looking for ways to encourage people to get better, be better, do better, have better for themselves. And that's just in my makeup. And so when we moved to Florida, I had to leave my job as a social worker and sort of figure out what I would do in the gun industry, not knowing anything at all about guns or the people who shoot guns. And what I found is that the kids and the families, like that's my passion. And that is where I really do get to connect with people on a level that makes sense to me and where I think that I can make a difference. And what I realized after working with a few families here in Florida, the young guns of Quail Creek, some of the Fishhawk kids, some of the Sarasota kids and those teams, I realized that those parents really need guidance. Otherwise, they're, perhaps taking their child to Academy Sports or Bass Pro or I don't know, wherever, and they're buying a gun, but they don't know what they're buying. They don't know why they're buying that gun. They don't know whether it will fit. They don't know why their kid's getting banged in the face. They don't know what to do about the fact that their kid's getting banged in the face. So, and I found that many coaches and instructors would be, really sort of frustrated and puzzled about, we've made all these adjustments. We have an adjustable comb. We have all these things we can do, but they're still, I'm not sure they're seeing the target or whatever the case may be. And I think that there was just a missing piece that we were able to naturally fill by helping people kind of on the front end get the right gun or get the gun that they had or were going to buy set up so that the child could have some success. Because I think women and children in particular want to have success in order to stay engaged in the sport. And if they do not have success, they're going to find something else to do.
Sure.
And so that's sort of what started for me. And I found that parents in particular were just sort of like, thank you. We really needed that. We needed that guidance and that help because many of these parents are not shotgunners. They happen to have a child that for whatever reason became involved in the sport and they're just wanting to support their child's endeavor.
Right.
So connecting with parents and families just became a piece of what I enjoyed doing. Then I realized that these kids shouldn't have to wait to be recognized until they are champions. So in terms of like, how do I get a sponsor? How do I get noticed and recognized by this company or that company? I want to get an ammo sponsor. I want to get this sponsor. And I thought, well, people have to work really hard and shoot for a long time and shoot pretty well before those things happen.
Right.
But what I noticed is that these are the best kids. Like they are the 4-H kids in Texas, the young guns here, the kids that I have met from all over the country are just like one of my mottos is hashtag Clay's kids are the best kids. They are just, if you line up 100 kids that shoot clay targets and 100 random teenagers that you see at the mall, just tell me. It just really, there's a very, very, very high percentage of the kids that shoot clay targets that are just stellar human beings. And I want to be a part of that. And I don't want them to have to wait until they're a champion shooter to be recognized and to feel a part of something. So I sort of started this Team Cole business that has taken on a life of its own. And it's not really a business. It's the Team Cole, the business of Team Cole. It's like, but it has become a fairly full-time endeavor for me to sort of, now I have, 75 kids that I call my kids. Like these are my kids and I try to keep up with what they're doing and stay connected to their families. And we try to help them with service when we can, if they need something, I want them to call me. It's not a formal sponsorship, but my poor husband does do a lot of things that he doesn't get paid for because for Team Cole kids, because that's my thing.
Well, I can sympathize. My wife drags me into all kinds of projects through schools and other things with, I own a sign shop and we do all kinds of donations for different groups and stuff. So I totally get that.
Isn't that what it's all about?
It is.
That's our future.
It's giving back and It's trying to help
Yeah.
the next generation. Absolutely. And that's wonderful that you do that. I mean, I think that's great. Jason and I have met a lot of great shooters on the SCTP events that we've been to. We talk to a lot of the kids, and it's great to see how excited they are to go out there and shoot and compete. You know, they really like doing it, and it's something different. It's not the usual, you know, football, baseball, basketball, soccer type stuff that everybody gets involved with, and it's kind of its own little niche out there for kids to compete with. And, you know, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic what you guys do, and hats off to you both for helping out all the kids. JD, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. My wife and I both have an A400, and I was wondering, is that the most popular gun that you sell?
It's certainly one of the most popular ones. I mean, as far as a semi-auto shotgun, it is certainly the most popular of the semi-auto shotguns. You know, I think because, you know, cost versus, you know, reliability and the way that the gun feels, you know, the light recoil, the handling of it. And, you know, we do a lot with those. You know, we do the Cole Pro thing, you know, where we do a lot of different Cerakoting and dipping and,
Right.
you know, putting custom stocks that are not necessarily custom one-offs. You know, we do some of the laminates in different colors and, you know, and things like that to, you know, to kind of bling them up a little bit. And I think that our facility in Maine they're busy all the time building those guns up, you know, with the A400s.
Gotcha.
Now, Rich, am I hearing correctly through the grapevine that the A400 is getting some tweaks, if you will, some upgrades maybe? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it actually is, and I've not yet seen one, you know, but I've seen photos that I can't divulge, but I haven't had one in my hands. You know, the new A400. What is going to basically replace the Excel, which is the blue gun, the Smurf gun, you know, is going to be black, and
Black receiver.
you know, the receiver is going to be black. They're going to be offering that gun with the kickoff recoil reduction system, which they use on what they're calling the A400 Upland model, where, you know, instead of being, you know, on the pad end of the stock, it's in the middle. And, you know, the jury's still out on that. You know, I don't know how that really, how well that's going to work out. I'm just going to have to wait and see.
Gotcha.
You know, what it comes. It's you know, it certainly precludes the ability to put an adjustable comb to stock, you know. So I mean, I think that there are going to be some limitations. We'll just have to see how that goes. I understand that they are doing the same thing that we've been doing on our Cole Pros, which they're actually beveling the magazine well. So, you know, on the bottom, we set these things up on a CNC mill, and we cut a big radius, you know, where the shell carrier is, to make it so that you don't have that sharp edge as you're loading cartridges. It's just, you know, it's more of a high volume gun. You don't want to hurt your fingers loading and unloading a gun, using the gun. You know, it's just, it
Right.
makes it smoother to go. So I think that they're going to do that on it. Otherwise, it's going to still basically be the A400. So mechanically speaking, it's the same gun. I think it's just more of a facelift from the standpoint that they're going to build them black instead of blue.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, so I guess, you know, tell everybody how they can get to you. I mean, go ahead and plug your website, your locations, because I want all of our listeners to know, if they're interested in looking at what you guys have to offer, how to get in touch with you.
Sure. Well, our web is www.colegun.com. So that's singular, COLEGUN.com. And, you know, that our website is, you know, we build a new website every year. It's constantly under construction, you know, because we're trying to stay up with the technology. But of course, the website has all the contact information for the different shops, because we have 4 different shops. You know, we have one in Harpswell, Maine, which is primarily our warehousing shop, where all of our wood sets and everything is located. Spare parts are located there. They do all the shipping and distribution from there. They build most of the Cole Pros and do warranty work on Beretta shotguns for the Northeast. And of course, Naples is our shop where we do all of our custom work and our CNC machining. And, you know, we've recently expanded our shop in San Antonio. So, you know, it's we've tripled the size of that there in San Antonio at the National Shooting Complex. So there's a gunsmithing facility as well as a large showroom there. And then we have our pro shop at Sarasota, Trap, Skeet, and Clays. So we're pretty easy to get a hold of. And, I think the thing that I would want to say is that, we want to be helpful. We really, we understand that people are shooting shotguns, shooting clays, hunting, whatever. It's recreation, and so we want to do whatever we can possibly do to be helpful for folks. So.
No, I can tell you when I met you guys both at the Gator Cup, I can genuinely tell that you guys are wholeheartedly involved in trying to please your customers, make everybody happy. And again, big thank you for helping out me and JD when we were down there. Can't say enough about that, and didn't even charge me anything for it. I was offering to pay, and you're like, no.
Oh, don't tell people that. Don't say that.
Well, we can edit that out if we need to be, but I'm just going to say, when somebody does that, that they're really caring. That's my point.
Wait a minute. Let me back up, Rich. With these two, they need all the donation they can get, so it's okay. People understand.
Honestly, it's one of those things. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when we're at a shoot, we do a whole lot of stuff for free because it's there. It's not. I'm there to meet people, I'm shaking hands and kissing babies,
It's good business. It's good business.
It really is, and
we never make any money by going to any shoots. That is promotion.
We enjoy, we get to see people that ordinarily we don't get to see, so it's a nice social experience for us. And if we can help some people out in there, it doesn't always have to all be about the bottom line. We can't run our business that way. When I'm in the shop, I've got to be billing. I've got to work. We've got, a company with 20 employees has got a heck of a payroll that we've got to come up with at the end of every week, But yeah, it's not always just about the buck, it's so much of life. We got to remember what's important, and relationships with people and just sort of enjoying ourselves and our lives is what's most important for everyone.
Well said.
Yeah. Yes. Rich, we greatly appreciate you and the missus' time. We really do. I know you both are very, very busy. And we appreciate you spending the evening with us and talking to people. And obviously just from listening to the two of you, anybody would be a fool not to go to you if they needed something. You guys are obviously more than willing to help, especially with the SCTP and the youth. That's awesome. That falls on the hearts of Sean and I big time. So yeah, we greatly appreciate both of you.
Well, thank you, guys. We appreciate your time. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. You all have a wonderful evening.
You too. You guys take care.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. On the phone with us for questions for the coaches is Bill Elliott, and this segment is brought to you by Bear Pelt. It's not just your vest, it's your new uniform. How you doing, Bill?
Doing awesome tonight. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing real good, bud. Well, hey, good. I want to get right to these questions. Are you ready, Sean?
I'm ready. Bill, our first question comes from Jerry Servos. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And he asks, and it's kind of a basic question, what are some good training and practice tips?
That's a great question. There's a couple of different ways you can look at this. Number one, is it training or practice that you want to do at home, or training or practice that you want to do out in the field? And I'm going to focus, I guess, out in the field to start. The first thing is, I think right before you go out shooting that day or, that week, you have to make a commitment to yourself. Is it going to be a recreational day, or is it going to be a true training day? And there is a difference. And in the end, that'll show your commitment level. So if you think about it, typically practice and training is objective based. So whether you're a basketball player, a football player, or whatever you do, practice has an objective, no different than our shooting. Why not? So if you think about it, we want to have outcomes in mind. And when we're done, we want to know what our plus deltas are, or you want to call them your strengths and opportunities. I don't like to call them weaknesses. Our self-image has a stronger memory than what we actually believe. So if we have a strong memory of weaknesses, then it's just a way that I don't like to call it. So one of the drills that I like to do is I like to do cone drills. And basically what I do with a cone is I'll pick a crosser out and I'll pick out different pressure situations along the line of the target. So if it's a right to left crosser at 30 yards, I want to put some pressure on myself to shoot it maybe at the cone at 15 yards. I know my default break point would probably be if it was a right to left crosser at 30 yards, medium speed, maybe my break point naturally would be at 30 yards out of the machine or something. So I want to test it early. And then I also want to test it late. I always believe there's 4 things that cause pressure: wind, water, the trees, and the ground. Those are all things that when they come into our vision, we tend to panic. So I'll put that cone sometimes, maybe in the last 10 feet of the line of the target, and just get used to breaking targets over there.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing I'll do. The other drill that I like to do is I like to do a trap grid drill. You know, there's so many trap houses around us. And 90% of the time, if you go to the club and say, hey, would you do me a favor? Can you lock this up as a straightaway, please? And I will grind on the 16-yard line, stations 1 through 5, 5 shots at each station until I get it perfect. There are situations in this game where I always say we need to be perfect under 30 yards. In order to win this game in A class and below, typically you got to be perfect under 30 yards and let's say maybe be 50 to 65% at 30 yards plus. So if you can master the trap line, we know that we're always going to see that move in sporting clays. The third thing I like to do is I like to call it discovery training. Just like so many times I'll go to a tournament and I'll see a target that I'm like, holy cow, I never thought I would see this target in my life. It's got, 90-degree angle or like maybe it's got like 70-degree angle and it's got full speed and it's got 60 yards.
Right.
Well, if we don't train it, we can't trust it.
Right.
So every once in a while, I'll go out and shoot what I call just, I call that a discovery target. And I'm not trying to break that 5, 6, 10 times in a row. I'm just going to maybe break it once or twice and then move on. If I don't break it after 7, 8, 9, 10 tries, the old version of me would have said, keep grinding, Bill, keep grinding. You got to hit this thing. The new version of me, because I know our self-image is so strong and our memory is so strong, I'll just walk away from that target for the day.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
So basically there's 3 different drills you could do. You could, do cone drills. You could do the trap grid. You could do the discovery training. I have a ton more, but those are just 3 off the top of my head that I like to do.
No, I think that's good. That's definitely good.
Well, Bill, we got James Gilman says, I'm a right-handed shooter, and a tough target for me is a right to left 90-millimeter crosser that is set on a rising angle. He says, I always shoot under the bird, not appreciating the rise. I am now setting my hole point above the line. Is this a good idea?
That's a great question. The only thing that I would need to know more about that target is the speed. Because if it was slow, I would still come from the back edge of that target and just feel the line, use a nice little swing to or a touch and go or whatever you want to call it, a swipe move. If it had max speed, I would probably use something similar to what, Anthony Mattery's taught me when I went to go for a lesson with him. And it's kind of like a ghost barrel move where he's right. You're almost starting with the gun on top of the target. You're building the lead in with the eyes as the target comes to the gun, and you're letting it fly. It's a trust-based move, and it's a move that I wouldn't have trusted unless I trained it, and I've been training it more and more. Typically on that target, because it is a crosser, I probably would have used a tight pull-away move. Start off a little bit in front of it and trust it and gradually feel myself pulling away from it. But the only thing I would say on that target is make sure you are able to see around the gun. On that target, I believe if you're too hard in that gun and you're trying to look over the right side of the gun, you'll really, really strain your eyes.
Right.
Gotcha.
So let me one more time. So it's a 90, which we got to remember that typically they appear to be faster than what they actually are because they're smaller. It's a crosser, so we know it's got an angle, therefore it needs lead. What we don't know in this question is the speed and the distance. Correct?
Right.
So I just think depending on the angle and the speed and the distance, my move will change. Like typically if a target only has one variable, whether it's angle or if it only has speed or if it only has distance, if it only has one of those variables, I'll typically come from the back edge of a target. If it has two or more variables, I'll start off on the front side.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
And you know what? And Jason, you just said, hey, it makes sense. Some people just like to start on that front side no matter what. And
Yeah.
I totally get that. Up until 5 years ago, that's all I shot. I shot everything maintain lead. And I wanted to understand where the value where other techniques were. And so I've really been working on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that probably came from your skeet background, wouldn't you say?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like my whole life, all I ever heard was, "Ever let the bird beat the barrel?"
Right.
Why would you ever let the bird get in front of the barrel? I don't know.
Is that you, Gil? Oh, sorry.
My whole life, that's all I ever heard.
Yeah. No, I mean there's not one technique you can use to master every target. Am I right? I mean, am I speaking rhetorically here, or am I out in left field?
You know, I think it just depends on your game. There are some people that will swear they shoot everything maintain lead, or they shoot everything swing through, and you look over their shoulder and it's like, I'm not going to argue the point, but.
And it's probably how your brain perceives it too, right, Bill? I mean, everybody's a little different and they look at targets a little differently. So you may not even be aware of some of the things that you do at the last minute.
Right. And, I think, I know who James is. Like, I know he's a pretty strong shot. So I think it's a great question coming from him.
Bill, you've looked over my shoulder enough times that what I thought I was doing and what you're seeing me doing is two different things, right? So there's some things, as much as we want to help somebody over an audio podcast like this, sometimes it just takes that personal touch with a coach, right?
It does. Like, I had a lesson with a guy today, and awesome lesson. And I keep talking to him about understand who you are as a shooter, have self-awareness of who you are. When you go out training, try and understand the techniques that you like to use, or that they're your default move on a target, and really understand it. If shooting the back edge of a rabbit is the way you like to shoot rabbits, that's you. That's who you are as a shooter. Like me, I'm always playing with the bottom right or bottom left leading edge of a rabbit. So you just got to figure out who you are as a shooter. Remember, I keep talking about how our self-image has a strong memory, and quit bragging about the weaknesses and train the opportunities.
That's well said.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, Bill, thank you very much for joining us. I'll let you get back to your family. I'm sorry it was so late, but thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You know what, guys? Everywhere I go, I'm hearing things about the awesome things you guys are doing on this podcast, and keep knocking it out. Keep killing it.
Well, we appreciate it. I mean, we've been noticing too as we're out and about, and of course we're wearing the gear now, so people tend to recognize us a little bit earlier. I mean, I'm probably more recognizable than most. I just look for the big bearded ogre that's walking around the course.
look for the game board billboard.
Right, yeah, basically. And I just that last weekend shoot up at South Cuyahoga, I had literally 3 or 4 guys come up and shake my hand and say, you guys are doing a great job. I listen to it all the time, and I don't think there's any better feeling in the world than to know that we're trying to help people out and that they appreciate it.
It's a testament to what Shawn was saying. It's very humbling.
Absolutely.
I've always said this. Shawn and I are just two idiots behind a microphone, and we strive to get good guests on that can answer all of our listeners' questions, and get good information out there. And never would have thought that we would ever get recognition like we are, and it's very humbling. And we appreciate it, and we're gonna keep working hard.
That keeps motivating us to keep getting better.
Yep,
absolutely. I got 2 turntables and a microphone. All right, be good, guys.
All right, see you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Take
Appreciate
care.
it. Bye. All right, well, hey, Bill always spews good knowledge, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely has good answers for our listeners' questions. And hey, once again, guys, keep asking those questions. The coaches are coming on. We need to have questions to ask, and don't hesitate. Anything that you're thinking about, any problems, issues, no matter how little, how small, or how big, throw them out there, and we'll definitely make sure they get answered by the coaches.
Yeah, for sure. And now we have Don Grant, Mike Luongo, Kevin DeMichael, Julie Stallings, and Chad Roberts. Chad Roberts moving forward is going to be with us for a little while. Thank you to Chad, Breakpoint Shooting Instruction, for coming on the show and answering the questions last show, and he's going to be available in the future. And you guys make sure and check him out, too. He's going to be in town here in Ohio. You know what? If you guys got a group of people, you want to have him come out for a clinic or a group session, or even if for just a private session, he is available. So make sure and look him up.
Definitely. And a big shout out to all of our sponsors, Negrini, Bear Pelt, Game Bore, Atlas Traps. Couldn't do it without you. We really, really appreciate you guys. And definitely RE Ranger. Don't want to forget them. Everybody that makes the show possible. This thing doesn't run on, oxygen only.
and as we were just saying with Bill, thank you to you fans that listen to us. Never would have dreamed that we would have fans, Sean, right?
I know. And means, like I said, it means the world to us when you guys come up. We see at different shoots when we're traveling around. Never too busy to shake a hand or tell a story or listen to you guys. Again, it's very humbling to know that we're helping people out and that you guys listen to us, so that keeps us coming back for more.
We have a lot coming up. There's a lot of guests on the schedule, and Sean, you can you can back me up here. We've got a full schedule ahead of us.
That's right. And don't forget, keep coming back. Keep listening. We'll have more stuff coming right here on the Dead Pair Podcast.